to give you a sense of the type of work we do, it's mostly game-based learning. We design learning technologies and tools to facilitate deeper learning in the classroom. Typically takes the form of game-based learning. And so being at a place like the Media Lab, we often get questions like, there's a sea of technology out there, what technology should we be using? And on one hand, it's exciting. I've been doing this work for about a decade now, and in the early parts of my career, it was hard to get people to just pay attention to innovating in education and putting money and R&D into technology. But now it's the opposite. It's a flooded field, flooded market, lots of VC dollars going into it, which can be a good thing, but not necessarily, right? What do you use? And I love this picture. I think it kind of represents a lot of the tools that can be out there in the market. And so there's a fair number of tools in the market that educators have to make choices about, and they may seem flashy or nice on the surface, but when you get under the hood, are they really engaging kids in the way we want to be engaging them? So the question I like to ask is, what kind of learning and learning experiences are we looking to create for kids? And it's not a simple question to answer, right? It has lots of implications too for when you start thinking about that. So we talk about designing the learning experience. Yes, we use technology to do that, but we always as designers are thinking about the experience of the journey that kids go on. And then we look at tools that best facilitate or achieve that. So the learning experience allows the learner to engage in deeper, more meaningful ways. Arguably, this is what we want to be happening in schools today. This is one of our games, Radix. It's an MMO. Does anybody play MMOs? Yeah. So MMO stands for Massively Multiplayer Online Game. It's a world game, so you can see people here that are in the world. You have your own avatar and you go in and play quests. So this game is around biology and mathematics. There's a whole storyline, right? This is an alternative world you've landed in. You're collecting data, seeing weird plants, seeing weird animals, collecting data on them. You're trying to solve quests and challenges that the world is facing. And so you do that right now in isolation, though we're just beginning to start to build quests that you can't do on your own. You can't solve the problems just on the data you're collecting. So this is a dashboard. You can see they're doing some geometry here. But problems that are embedded in a deeper experience, a deeper context that aren't just out in the middle of nowhere. Second principle, the learning environment or experience supports experiences that would otherwise not be possible. So this is a game that's quite old now. This was some of our early work back in '05. This is Killian Court. It's the main grassy area on MIT's campus. And our augmented reality games put kids in a scenario where they're told that there's been an oil spill on the campus or some type of chemical spill. They're not really sure what's going on. And so you need to work together in teams to collect data in the actual space to help solve the problem. So you're collecting information that is delivered to your device. You can see how old this device is now. Palm Pilot with GPS on top. Now it's just your phone, right? But the device is triggered depending on where you're on campus. And so you interact with NPCs, non-playable characters in the game. They appear on your screen depending on where you are on campus. The GPS triggers that on your device. You talk to them, you get data from them. Here students are working together, and so we often pair students, one device per two students. They'll move around campus and solve problems together. And so this is an experience that a teacher certainly can set up, and we see good pedagogies like this all the time from great teachers, but to be supported and facilitated by technology in a way that you otherwise might not be able to. The tool empowers the learner to construct their own learning and artifacts. So two groups also in the Media Lab are the Lifelong Kindergarten group, who creates Scratch, and the Center for Mobile Learning. This is a new center, just a couple of years old. Both of these are programming environments for Scratch can be used by quite young children, and the App Inventor, which I'll talk about in a minute, is for older students. But here it's a visual programming language, so this is the actual code that students work with. So these block strings all create things that happen on the screen. So here's a story a student was creating, and this is coding made easy. This is a student that built a simulation. They called it not quite ball physics. So creating a simulation that actually helps you learn the physics principles, but tell stories, make games. They use it for all sorts of things. But one of my favorite things about Scratch is the Scratch community, because kids have used this as their tool to create. Similarly, App Inventor was funded by Google. This is a toolkit we built using also visual programming to help students create their own apps. So kids work with mobile devices every day. You can hardly pry them out of their hands. They want to be able to create and build on them as well. And so App Inventor also makes app building really easy. Again, a visual programming language, but it empowers kids to create the ideas they see as ways to engage the world and help the world. So we've had groups build apps for better healthcare, help you better identify what medications you might be taking. This is some science apps. Students created an app where they can easily measure and track the height of trees and the diversity of trees that they come across. So I've shown a lot of science games that we've built, but just to show the power of game-based learning goes beyond just science. We have a second language acquisition game called Xenos Isle, and through that you learn a second language. We've used this in high schools with ELL students. This is Quandary, which has won a bunch of awards. It teaches students ethical thinking, and teachers have given us lots of great feedback on this game because that's really hard to teach in class, right? So the principles that we go by when we're designing our games are that game-based learning empowers engaged learners, right? It gives them a context or a hook to engage into. They're immersive experiences. They're relevant to students. They're collaborative. Again, many of these can't be done alone. They can only be done socially or in teams. Most importantly, it embodies what we call hard fun, or I should say Seymour Papert called it hard fun. He would watch students try and program this little triangle called a turtle around the screen, and kids would really struggle with it. And what he found was that kids persisted because it was hard, and that is what made it fun, and they were so excited when they succeeded. And so that is what I think we're going for, is that type of engagement where they're willing to persist because of hard fun. So again, deeper learning is possible with and without technology, but we believe it's about designing the learning experience and the learning environment. So thank you very much.